Well, welcome back. A couple nights ago we left you with basically this concrete slab curing. The form was probably still in a position similar to this. So a few hours later I came out and pulled the cavity form out, and basically now we are left with a finished product. A new concrete slotted base to accept a marble tabular monument. Now, so we've got, now I'm also ready to, I've got a couple of the end forms taken off. These two are screwed to the base, but next we'll use my cemetery tongs, that's what I call them. Basically, I'll use the tractor and loader, which is currently my camera tripod, and basically we'll lift this up, throw a dolly under it to move it around until I need to load it up and take it to the cemetery. So the next one that I need to do is exactly the same outer dimensions. It's the same width. It's a 2-inch thick marble monument. And if you recall, I add 1/4 inch on each side. So this is 2.5 inches thick. And then the next monument, or excuse me, yeah, the next monument I need to reset is 18 inches wide. This one was 18 5/8, so I started with the largest monument, and then I was able to basically reuse this form, cut 5/8 of an inch off to each side, and now we're ready to move over, and we'll use this form over here. And I did shave it down a little bit in height, so that because these dimensional lumber is just off a touch. So now basically I've also marked on the base of this form where this cavity slot should go, or where this cavity form should go to create the slot. Additionally, to try to get as smooth and flat a surface as possible on the concrete, what I found is some of these, again, this dimensional lumber just isn't lining up quite right. So I actually took a wood plane, if you want to get this picky, a wood plane, and tried to make each corner in perfect alignment and the exact height. So that helps me a lot better when I'm screeding it, troweling it, and when I'm using the edging tool around here. So one other thing that I did, what I noticed when I was trying to gradually, work that form out and wiggle it around and pull it out of the concrete, is basically you got kind of a suction effect. And so what I did is I took a wood bit and drilled a couple holes all the way through. So now hopefully when I try to pull it up, the air or the pressure is equalized underneath inside the cavity, so there's no suction effect and let's say kind of resistance in pulling this cavity form out. So we're ready to, we'll tape this back up. I did throw a couple screws back in here when I was resizing it. Now I'll tape this back up with some either this Tyvek or just some packing tape. It seems to make the cavity form slip out a little easier, and also kind of keeps it a little cleaner as well to reuse it for other monuments or other slotted bases. So that's where we're at today, and so time to mix some concrete and make up another one of these. Okay, we've got our form all re-taped up. I punched some holes in my, punched through the air holes, the relief, pressure relief holes, I guess to call them. Got it all lined up on the form, or within the perimeter form. And I got 2 bags of concrete. And so let's go ahead and dump it in. So we got those 2 bags shoveled in. And I put it right on top of the form rather than off to the side. If you pile it off to the side, it has a likelihood to shift that form a little bit. So first thing, let's go ahead and measure, see if it has shifted. And so far it looks like, well, we're pretty close. So now I'm just going to put some pressure on here to hold it in place and just kind of tamp it down a little bit around the edges. You can use your fist, you can use a 2x4, just something to kind of lock it in place a little better. And then we'll go ahead and mix 2 more bags. Rather than smoothing out that first 2 bags, I left it rather rough, because when I dump this second layer on, or second batch on, I want that mixture to kind of interlock so we don't form kind of a different layers. So kind of knife it in. The next mix, I think I'll put in the final, let's say, layer. I've been having a little trouble getting a nice smooth finish. Some of the aggregate tends to rise up to the top a little too much, and I don't know if that's because my moisture is wrong, or if this store brand concrete mix is a little heavy on the aggregate. So I'm going to try, I've got a different brand, Saccrete, that seems to be a little better quality. Maybe it's got less aggregate, or I might even sift out some of the aggregate. Okay, I mixed up, I don't know, about another half, 3/4 bag. Used a different brand, and I actually sifted out some of the aggregate to see if I could get a smoother surface. So a little less aggregate, a little more sand, a little more of a mortar mix. So now we're just going to go ahead and kind of screed this across, make sure it's level. Looks like that cavity form is just the perfect height. I seem to be gliding right over it as I kind of saw this back and forth. And as we get toward the edges, kind of tamp down the excess. So you see we're starting to get a semblance of a nice smooth layer with our float. So pretty soon we'll switch over and start troweling it for a smoother finish and work our way up to running an edger around the outside perimeter. So this finishing process, to try to get a nice smooth finish, you know, not quite like my garage floor, but better than my driveway floor, is a bit challenging for me because of probably my lack of concrete skills. I'm still learning, so bear with me. Drop me some pointers. Send me some comments how I can do this better. Now I think we're probably ready to start some troweling. Well, I'm not sure if all the planets are in alignment or what's going on, but this pour and smoothing out troweling has been the smoothest one that I've done so far. So we use our edging tool to go around the perimeter to give it a little rounded edge. Occasionally, where needed, I actually took some of this concrete mix where I sifted out the P-rock and just sprinkled it on here. And then used my garden sprayer and wetted it a little bit with a mist of water. And actually, if it looked like it was drying out, or I'm not getting this nice, smooth, shiny finish, then I also maybe gave it a shot of water, and that kind of helped the troweling process. Well, I'm kind of impressed with myself on how well things are going today. So we got the lag bolts in, and as you can see, so they give you kind of a handle on the cavity form, and also that tape that I put on it allows it to, I think, pull up and slide a little better. Now, you have to be careful. As you pull it up, you'll see possibly some of the edges crumbling away. So as you do pull it up, and you see that, just take your trowel and press it down tight. Because this cavity, the edging on this cavity, we want as nice and square as possible. So we'll continue to kind of work this cavity form out. I've got a little crumbling on this side, but you can see it's nice and loose. In fact, if I let go, it's almost going to slide back down. So on this side, I had a little crumbling. Even had a little bits of flakes of tape in the surface. But I think we're just about done. This cavity form is almost wanting to fall back into the hole. When I pulled the cavity form out, a little corner here lifted up. We're just going to put a margin trowel. And I think we're done. So there you have it, a concrete slotted base for a marble tablet style headstone. Thanks for watching, and hope this helped. Do what you can in your local cemeteries to maintain and preserve them.